The first thing you learn as a dream broker is never to look directly at what you traffic. The way a jeweler learns not to stare at cut diamonds in raw sunlight. Stare long enough and you begin to covet, and coveting leads to theft, and theft is the quickest route to dissolution court. I'd lasted 7 years in the somnarium without faltering. In that time, I'd arranged auctions for lavender-scented lullabies, negotiated mergers of honeymoon montages, even brokered the sale of an entire childhood, every birthday candle, every scraped knee, every lullaby a mother ever hummed, bottled, tagged, and transferred to a billionaire who coveted innocence. Through it all, I kept the visor of professional detachment locked across my eyes. Then Lyra Caldwell walked through the chrome doors of my suite on level 47. She was small, but she carried herself with the momentum of someone who'd survived more than anyone ought to. Her hair was the color of cinnamon bark. Her voice, when she spoke her opening line, carried the flinty sibilance of both determination and fear. I'm told you can find what others deem lost. Her gaze skipped over the display cabinets of swirling dream globes, then landed on me. I need something retrieved. People usually opened with price. The fact that she opened with need meant her desperation was absolute. I told myself to keep my distance and gestured toward the interview pod. Tell me what was taken. She sat, knees pressed together, hands folded so tightly the bones whitened. My first love, the summer on Gullwing Pier, everything from the first hello to the last kiss. Someone lifted it from my cloud vault 2 years ago. I've traced it to a collector named Caspian Veer, operating under the brokerage of Madame Kesh. My stomach contracted. Kesh was legend and nightmare in equal parts. A woman who could slice desire from a diplomat mid-speech and sell it before applause faded. No one wrested property from her without losing blood, or worse, untraceable pieces of their own psyche. I can petition Kesh for a buyback, I said. But collectors don't surrender trophies easily, especially first love memories. They appraise high. I'm prepared to pay, Lyra said. Currency? She unclasped a pendant, pressed the emerald sphere toward me. Inside shimmered swirling gold, reminiscence grade A. I ran the identifier code across my corneal feed. A perfect recording of her father teaching her to ride a bicycle at dusk, age 8, with a street lamp flickering overhead and a School of Cricket soundtrack. Pristine nostalgia, worth millions. It's not enough, I said before I could stop myself. Kesh will want triple. Her eyes filmed with frost. It's all I'm willing to give. I should have ended the consult. I should have recommended a lower-tier broker, wished her luck, and turned away. But a splinter of curiosity lodged in my ribs. Why cling so fiercely to a memory of a boy summer swept across a pier? People commissioned first love implants all the time. Prefab swoons adjusted to taste. Because genuine memories were messy, tangled, imperfect. The authenticity of hers must bear something incandescent. I'll see what I can do, I heard myself say. Lyra exhaled, relief softening her posture. Thank you, Mr. Mercer. Elias, I corrected. Outside the pod, the skyline of Somnaria pulsed with neon hieroglyphs, advertising dream spas and memory laundries. When Lyra left, her absence felt like the hush after a cathedral bell. I reminded myself that the hush was safer than its opposite and submerged myself in logistics. Yet that night, when I isolated her pendant for appraisal, I made the mistake of peeking, just a sliver, through the encryption. Headset, haptic tethers, biometric safeties engaged. Suddenly, I was 8, wobbling on a powder blue bicycle, wind full of cut grass and evening jasmine. A tall man's baritone urging, Pedal, Lyra. Don't be afraid. When I surfaced, tears clung to my lashes. Not because I'd wept, but because the memory had lent me Lyra's tears of triumph. I shut it down, my pulse still jackhammered. No more looking, I vowed. Not until this job was finished. Madame Kesh's lair occupied the top deck of the derelict cruise ship Argonaut, moored in the acid-green shallows of the Elysian Narrows. I brought 2 bodyguards, both ex-commando. They handed over their weapons at the footbridge, but muscles stay loaded even without guns. Kesh met me in a ballroom where chandeliers sagged with barnacles. She wore a suit made of black glass scales, eyes rimmed in violet dust. "Elias Mercer," she purred, "you arrive like a rumor come to roost. I come with an offer." I activated the holotray between us. The bicycle lesson hovered, glowing. "For the memory of Gullwing Pier," she laughed, a chime of breaking icicles. "Darling, no. You've brought me a story about a bicycle. I'm asking for a sonnet about the birth of devotion. My client sleeps every night, cradling that kiss against his chest. Why should he trade a sunrise for a lamppost?" "What's your number?" I asked. She named a sum so inflated my chest hollowed. The markup was deliberate humiliation. "If you can't pay in dreams," she added, "I may accept something rarer." I didn't ask what. The glitter in her eyes was answer enough. She'd slice a living fragment from me if I allowed. I left without countering, hum in my skull. Back in my penthouse, I poured 2 fingers of amber glass and reran the footage of Lyra's bicycle ride. I was seeking leverage, I told myself, familiarizing myself with the merchandise. Instead, I found intimacy beating its wings inside my ribcage. By dawn, I'd memorized every shift of sunset light on her cheek. I sent Lyra a message. "Negotiations stalled. Need time." She responded with a simple nod emoji, but that single arc of her head, the slight downturn of her mouth in the vid stamp, my heart tilted. I spent a week probing Kesh's security grid, mapping courier schedules, bribing an archivist for a list of vault codes. Each night, guilt gnawed. Love in my business is like rust on a scalpel. The smallest fleck and the incision festers. On the 8th morning, Lyra appeared unannounced. She wore a storm gray coat and carried a ceramic box. "I remodeled my payment," she said. She clicked open the lid. Inside lay 3 new dream spheres, each glimmering with pearl fire. "If I surrender these, will it be enough?" I scanned them. Her high school valedictory speech, her first standing ovation after a cello concerto, and the afternoon she adopted her rescue dog, Ollivander, whose tail beat like a metronome of gratitude. I felt the weight of them in my palm, joys she'd never feel again once transferred. "It might," I admitted, "but it would hollow you out. That's my choice." "It shouldn't have to be," I blurted, louder than intended. She studied me. "Broker rule number 1, she said quietly. "Never get attached." The echo of my own training stung. "I'm working angles," I told her. "Give me 2 more days." As she turned to leave, I touched her sleeve. "Why is this memory worth so much?" Lyra inhaled. "Because it was the moment I learned love was possible." Her voice trembled. "Without it, I look at people and feel static, as if the volume's been muted on the world. I need the memory back, not to live in the past, but to choose a future." She left before I could answer. When the door sealed, I pressed my forehead to the cold glass. Outside, clouds boiled violet, promising rain. That night, I did the unforgivable. I spliced open a back door in Kesh's archive and siphoned the Gullwing Pier memory into my buffer. The firewall burned my peripheral vision, and alarms began spitting ultraviolet sparks. I had 120 seconds before Kesh's sentinel programs traced the incursion. Yet curiosity throttled caution. I opened the file. Salt wind whipped my face. The pier boards thudded underfoot. Somewhere, a carousel chimed. 15-year-old Lyra wore cut-off jeans, her hair damp from swimming. Orion Hale, her first love, handed her a paper boat with her initials scrawled across the sail. He leaned in, breath trembling, pressed a kiss to her mouth. Fireworks cracked overhead, scattering crimson asters across tidewater. Her heart pounded so loud it threatened to topple the universe. I surfaced gasping, the aftertaste of fireworks in my lungs. The virus trackers were shrieking crimson. I sealed the file, purged logs, and executed a ghost hop sequence through 9 dummy servers. Kesh would know I'd come, but she wouldn't know where I'd gone. If luck held, the memory glowed in my transfer capsule like pink dawn. I'd done it. I could return it to Lyra, claim my fee, and sever this perilous tether. But the kiss wouldn't stop echoing. Orion's hesitant warmth, Lyra's answering wonder. A needle of jealousy pricked my chest. I'd never been inside a moment so radiant. And because dream files impart trace emotion, that radiance had bronzed every cell of me. I wanted more. I wanted it not as contraband, not as merchandise, but as life. Sleep eluded me. By sunrise, I had composed a risky plan. First, I liquefied my bank accounts. Then I summoned a registrar and transferred ownership of the penthouse to a philanthropic trust for orphan veterans. Finally, I slid a silver capsule into an envelope and addressed it to Kesh. Inside rested my most cherished personal memory. The day my younger sister, dying of rad fever, had woken long enough to whisper, "Live big, Eli," before slipping away. It was the compass rose of my adulthood, the reason I'd clawed out of poverty into the broker's echelon. To part with it was to erase the star that guided me, but Kesh would demand payment for my theft. I was sending her my soul in advance to purchase Lyra's freedom. At dusk, I called Lyra. The rendezvous point was the rooftop Zen garden above the old opera house. Moss lanterns cast jade halos across raked gravel. She arrived, hair soaked from the drizzle, eyes huge with hope and fatigue. "You have it," she breathed. I produced the sphere. In her trembling hands, it looked incandescent, a small captive sun. "Before you integrate," I said, "there's something you should know." I explained what I'd done, the theft, the price Kesh would extract, the memory I'd surrendered. I expected anger. Instead, she listened with a softness that dismantled my lungs. "Why would you sacrifice that for me?" she asked. The confession rose like tidewater. "Because I saw the way you loved him, and it lit something inside me. I wanted, still want, to be the one who deserves that light. I had to free you to feel again, even if the feeling isn't for me." Silence stretched, woven with rain hissing on bamboo. Finally, Lyra placed the dream sphere in the receiver halo and pressed it to her temple. Her pupils flared silver as the transfer began. A breeze stirred the incense moss. When the glow subsided, she opened her eyes, and they were different, alive with remembered salt wind and fireworks. She looked at me. "I remember Orion." Her lips curved. "I remember thinking the world could end, and I would still have that moment. A knife scraped inside my ribs, but I managed to smile." Then she stepped closer. "I also remember something else." My brow furrowed. She reached into her coat and produced a second sphere. Azure, faint, flickering. While integrating, I felt another resonance braided inside. A fragment that wasn't from the pier. It was you, I startled. "Impossible." The transfer was clean. She shook her head. "Dreams mimic DNA. Even a fingerprint of consciousness leaves residue." She lifted the sphere. Inside bloomed a memory I hadn't meant to share. Me inside her bicycle lesson, tears in my lashes, awe on my borrowed face. I saw how you felt, she whispered. Not greed, love, gentle, terrified love. Blood thundered in my ears. If that contaminates your memory, I can surgically. Elias, she interrupted, voice trembling. When my first love was stolen, the world muted. But in the days I spent with you, even before tonight, I felt the volume return, little by little. I thought it was anticipation of reclaiming the past. Now, I realize it was your presence. I couldn't breathe. Lyra, she stepped closer, forehead nearly touching mine. Orion taught me love was possible. You showed me love evolves. I don't know what shape that takes yet, but I know I don't want to lose more memories, least of all ones we might make together. Rain beaded across her lashes. The city wheeled below, traffic lights like rubies and emeralds. I brushed her cheek. Electricity vaulted between our skins, raw and immediate. I don't have much to offer, I confessed. Kesh owns my compass now. Then let me be your new one, she replied. The kiss that followed was nothing like the pier. No fireworks, no salt wind, just the heartbeat of rain against stone, the warmth of two people, ankle deep in risk, choosing forward. And it was enough, more than enough. Kesh reclaimed my sister's memory within 48 hours, along with a formal notice banning me from elite brokerage. I expected ruin. Instead, a quiet corridor of possibility opened. With funds depleted, I accepted a post at a public clinic, helping war veterans recover PTSD fragments the state refused to underwrite. The pay was meager, but each session glowed with purpose. Lyra visited often, bringing tea, cello music, the reckless curve of her smile. We'd watch horizons bruise into twilight and talk about the ethics of mnemonic commerce. Sometimes we argued. Sometimes we laughed until breathless. Each moment nested inside the next, weaving a tapestry neither of us would willingly trade. One afternoon, she slid a legal packet across my desk. Sign, she said. I scanned. It was the charter for a cooperative dream library. Donor-based, consent-driven, free of charge for anyone needing the balm of borrowed joy. She'd leveraged her reclaimed memories as seed capital. What will we call it? I asked. Her eyes shimmered like dusk on tidal flats. The compass rose. I signed. Years later, children of refugees would sit beneath hollow projectors, feet dangling, and watch lullabies bloom above them. Veterans would close their eyes to nightmares and open them to starlit peace. Lovers would gift each other pockets of understanding, not possession. And in the quiet hours, Lyra and I would walk the stacks hand in hand, listening to the hush, that vast cathedral hush where longing once lived, now filled with the breathing of countless, luminous dreams.